No, 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 Erik ten Hag. We are not going back into the Eredivisie. We are not going back to teams that you have managed or have managed against before in the transfer window to bring players in that you think are good enough to play in the Premier League. Eredivisie football does not work in the Premier League. The fast-flowing football that Ajax are bred on does not work at Manchester United. We are not going to sign any more players that you recommend alone. Manchester United, no, no, no. Just stop the manager right now in his tracks. We are not going down this road again. The fan base will not allow it. Oh, we aren't ever saying any of this, do we? But we can always voice our opinions, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now. And Erik ten Hag is done. He isn't getting another penny to spend if he goes down this road. Manchester United right now have to deal with what we've got in front of us, but if Erik ten Hag is planning his summer future, then I am absolutely petrified. Absolutely petrified. There is more to this rant and more to this argument than just the name of that player. That player that nobody has ever heard of, Brobbey. Has you heard of him? No, we haven't heard of him. This is Forever United TV, by the way, everyone. I'm getting into what will be the end of Ten Hag again tonight, and what will be the end of Manchester United if they allow this to happen. There's more to this. It isn't just about the player, like I said. It's about our opinions. It's about your opinions in the chat. So make sure you get your comments in. It isn't just about one player. There is more context to this argument that I am more worried about than that player alone, to be honest. No disrespect, but let's get into everything that is Erik ten Hag's transfer methods and what Manchester United are going to do if they want to self-destruct completely and end this club. Oh, God. Breathe, Adam. Breathe, 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 breathe. Okay, General Foodie, welcome to the Members Club. I thought you already was a member. What happened there, my friend? Anyway, guys, welcome along. Get your comments in, as always. Yes. So, who is Brian Brobbey? That is a report from the Mirror at Manchester United. Oh, Erik ten Hag is wanting to rekindle another relationship with another player that managed under him, or someone who he actually knows. Well, Erik ten Hag gave this lad his debut in Ajax in that championship winning season before he left. He then went out on loan, failed in Germany and RB Leipzig, and came straight back. Has scored a few goals this season, I think 12 in fact. But again, the big point in all of this isn't so much about him as a player, Brian Brobbey that is. It's more about Ten Hag and how he cannot be allowed to keep doing this. The fact that Ten Hag is even thinking about planning for the future and planning for the summer is beyond. I know this has to happen. I know managers have to plan things around. But right now, Ten Hag should be thinking about actually still being in a job come the summer, because you ain't going to be able to bring in players if you're not Manchester United manager. And if you don't make Champions League football, you ain't going to be Manchester United manager. And if Ineos let Ten Hag still be in charge after this, if he isn't in the Champions League, then we're even in more trouble. And that is the bigger picture in all of this. We have seen it fail time and time again with players already just under Ten Hag's tenure. Let's get into the super chat. Sooner we get Ashworth in sooner we get Ashworth in as sporting director, the better, says Akash. Thanks for that super chat, mate. Member for 1 month, renewed T, thank you very much. Brian Brobbey, misses sitters for Ajax, only recently found his form not good enough. That's it. I mean, it could be it could be a story, it could be made up, it could be just because he scored about 7 in his last 10 games that the Mirror have made this story up. I think there'll be probably something in it. United have probably sent scouts there, they've been noticed and the story's been made, and it probably is worth reporting and talking about, because that's what you're supposed to do as a journalist. Talk about the real players out there and what United is scouting and what might possibly be. I mean, I've said all along United should be scouting out these young talents and trying to get there ahead of everyone else. But one thing we shouldn't be doing is trusting in one man's say. There's no reason why someone like this player, Brian Brobbey, would come to Manchester United other than Ten Hag, and that is the failure. That is what has been killing this football club already under Ten Hag, and is what will fail this football club going forward and for the next manager to deal with. Ineos need to just say straight away, no, 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 it isn't happening, Erik. Stop even looking. Right now, I don't care about the summer transfers until Ineos have all their people in place. Gifting membership for Forever United TV memberships. That is from The Shield. Thank you very much. Sponge has just taken that membership. Welcome to the membership club, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Everyone, if you do want to become a member of the channel, then the link is right there in the description, or you just have to press the join button. All the options are there open for you. So there you go. Get onto that if you want. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking, guys. I'm going to come to all of the chat very shortly, but Manchester United with Ten Hag in charge. We talked about it this morning. If you haven't already watched this morning's video, everyone, do drop down after this is finished and check out this morning's video. We had a great debate regarding the players coming back that are so-called saviours and what is going to make everything better for United this season, according to Ten Hag. I don't think that it would be. I made my point about that, and I was very wary about these players coming back, not just to think that this is all hunky-dory and everything's going to be okay. It's far from it. So do check out that video. But this is what realistically United need to be looking at right now. Ten Hag needs to be looking at the foreseeable, like now. Right now. And dealing with what's happening on the pitch. Because he isn't going to be in a job to even look at some players. But the whole point about this, and you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the list of players. Every single one has had a link to Ten Hag. It's quite clear that he is in charge of the transfers. The complete and utter bull that comes out of the club's mouth saying that they've recruited these players, absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. You only have to look at the players that Manchester United are looking to out in the summer. They're the ones that Ten Hag doesn't want. He wants to just fill a team with players that he can trust. And that may work for him if you want to finish 5th and 6th in the league. But what we were saying before, and there was a great super chat from an Arsenal fan who came on before, he loves Arteta, but if he's got his honest hat on, he's saying that Arteta isn't the man. And by that you mean, for the standards of United and Arsenal, he's not the man to take us forward and start challenging for trophies. Now we've all said, I've said before, that United just need to accept where we are right now on a rebuild. Is Ten Hag the right man to rebuild? Maybe he is if he can prove himself this season. But is he going to be the man that actually takes us forward to win trophies with that type of team? He could just be a new stepping stone now, Ten Hag. He really could. Or he can completely fail and it's just back to the drawing board again in the summer. What can he make out of the players that he's got? That was the video before. Going forward, dealing with the issues that Ten Hag has caused is exactly what this video is. Players that he thinks are good enough that haven't been recruited, scouted or properly looked into. You only have to look, like I said, what was it the other night when I said, look at what's happened to Ajax this season. Yes, they've just come into form now, but this is the worst season on record for them because they've lost the sporting director and they've lost the CEO, Overmars and Van der Sar. And when that's gone and when that structure's not there, all hell breaks loose. The inmates are running the asylum and it just isn't good enough. This is what United have been. The season that Ajax are having right now is United's last 10 years, and we've allowed this to continue. And we just allowed manager after manager after manager to control and pick and choose and try and implement their style of play on Manchester United. It does not work, and it isn't going to work for Ten Hag. We don't even know what Ten Hag's style of play is. Does he even remember? Does he even know what his style of play is? No, he does not. I don't think he's got a clue right now. So, I mean, Sadsak says, Adam, give me a gifted membership. Yeah, see if you're good enough by the end of the show. We'll see. We'll see. But I can't just gift them out to individual people. You've got to take them as they come, guys. So be on the mark if anyone does drop one. So, yeah, it's all there for you guys anyway. But looking at where we're at right now, like we did before, and looking at the future are two different conversations altogether. I wanted to get into the reality this morning on the early show about where we are right now and what we can do now. And that is what I feel is more important. I feel like it is what's needed right now for Manchester United. And that is concentrating on trying to find something and just getting through this season. I've given up on style of play. I've given up on knowing what his best team is. And right now, I'm just looking at the positives. I talked about Mainu, I talked about Garnacho, how they need to stay in the team, how they need to start moving Manchester United forward. I just fear that when the players come back in, the big name players, they're going to start replacing the likes of Kobe Mainu, like Casemiro could do. But I just don't think it's right. I feel like Kobe Mainu and Garnacho need to be in this team as much as possible. I understand the whole argument about nursing them through and making sure that they're right and making sure it's the right time, not giving them too much to do. But if they're playing better than everyone else in the team, you can't drop them. That's a fact right now. They both are better than everyone else in Manchester United's team. You cannot drop them. Even if it is too much and putting too much hope on young shoulders. I understand all of that. But the facts are we have to get through this season somehow. And Ten Hag needs something from this season. His two shining lights are now in direct competition for players that are coming right back into this team. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Hopefully he can see through it. Gifted membership from General Foodie. Thank you very much. Keith Thomas has taken that one. Welcome to the Members Club, Keith. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Over 400 in the room. Please give the video a like, guys. Let's get over that 100 mark. We have just crossed over the 10-minute spell of the video. Let's see if we can get up to 100 likes and match it up, guys. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Yeah, I look at Manchester United's transfer windows before. We talked about Ten Hag, his interview after signing for United, how he needs full control over every single player that comes through the door. Transfers are a must for Ten Hag. That cannot be the case. This is now point proven. Like this news, and even if it is a made-up story, it's just a warning sign for Manchester United as to what you cannot allow to happen going forward. And that's Ten Hag having sole say and being the main voice when it comes to who comes into Manchester United and transfers. It cannot happen. It will be the end of this football club if this does happen. There is a blueprint to success in the Premier League in the modern era, and it is over the road at Manchester City and down these flanks in Liverpool. They've got it right. They know what they're doing. We just heard the stories today about Newcastle United's financials, and how they're now hampered by financial fair play. They're having to sell to buy, so they're not going to get any better now. The reality is you have to be smart with your money and you don't blow it. So when you go into a season, you've got, 120, 130 million to spend, and you blow it like you did this summer and made us worse, which we are, you should not be having a say on transfers. Some people would say you need actually sacking on the spot for putting us in this position now, having spent all of that money. Mason Mount was a Ten Hag signing. And Arnott was a Ten Hag signing. There pretty much is 100 million there in two signings. For me, again, same conversation we've had before. It could have been spent better. Rasmus Højlund, I feel like that was a little bit... There may have been a bit more influence in there. I think he wanted, obviously, Harry Kane, Ten Hag, but we ended up buying the younger player, which I think is the right sort of move. But what United did need is another striker next to him. And again, I said this earlier on today. I said Ten Hag has been very, very lucky this season that he's had a decent crop of youngsters to pick from. In that, from the season before Ten Hag was hired, Manchester United won the FA Youth Cup. He's now seeing them prospects come through. Like Garnacho came through a little bit last season. Now he's on to the next level this season. Kobe Mainoo has come through this season. Camberwella has come in as well. I said this before in the earlier show that he's very lucky that he's had these players to pick from, because they are outshining everything that we've spent so far this window. And Ten Hag contribution, recruitment-wise, is absolutely destroying this football club right now. Already, you can see that Casemiro was an absolute panic buy. Just because we're now having to force him out of the door. Who sanctioned that? I'm pretty confident that wasn't a Ten Hag signing. I think that is basically all we've got left is this. We need a midfielder in. We need a high profile just to take the edge off the fans and all the anger going around the football club at the moment. And they went and got Casemiro. It was full on, shit your pants, panic buy, we got to get someone in. Casemiro came in. It worked for one season. But, again, quick fixes. One season, can you improve on that? No, because you spent everything the season before and you've not got much left. So spend it wisely and we might be okay. Flush down the drain. All the money's gone. We wasted it, pretty much. There is potential in Rasmus Højlund, there really is, but we shouldn't have spent that much money on him. It's pathetic how the football club can't negotiate a deal. Not on Ten Hag. I'm going to make that point clear. Not him. I actually don't think the Rasmus Højlund signing can really be seen as a bad signing on Ten Hag's part, to be honest. He's an up-and-coming striker that we've got through the door. Yes, we paid too much for him. That's not Ten Hag's fault. And you could build a team around him. You could get that man that service, and we might really have a player on our hands there. But the issue that I see more for the likes of Højlund is this whole rebuild is starting again. He was supposed to be adding to the rebuild. He's come in and we've gone backwards. Not through all fault of his own. He's raw and he's been brought in as the saviour to score us goals. He's not going to be able to do that. The man scored 9 goals last season. We're lucky that we've got 6 out of him this season. You cannot expect a player that isn't a prolific goal scorer to start bumping up the goal scoring charts. So United had a productive season last season under Ten Hag, and then from that he's been given authority to spend what money we had on players that he thought were going to improve us. So Højlund was supposed to be coming in on top of the start of the rebuild. The rebuild was scrapped and started again from scratch this season, which is now basically, because everything has been torn up. Absolutely everything. Jadon Sancho was part of that rebuild. He thought Anthony Martial might have more game time after what he played last season. He wasn't the worst Martial towards the back end of last season. We've seen some glimpses of him again. Ten Hag's seen a bit there, but he's been let down again. Didn't take the hint with Martial. Should have sold him in the summer. He still had a little bit of clout about him and reinvested money somewhere else. And now we're stuck in phase 2. Phase 2 is torn up the scrapbook, rebuild dead, starting a completely new one now under part ownership of Ineos. It could have been so much better for Manchester United, it really could. Ten Hag should have been improving this team and we should have been moving forward. He's failed coaching-wise. No one's improving this season. He's lost the momentum that he had from last season. I do believe that he has lost some of the players as well. I think right now, and I'll just touch on what Jadon Sancho was saying as well, guys, because I feel like this is important now, because I do believe now, and you know this happens all the time, when a player leaves for international duty, for instance, or he comes away from that bubble which is Manchester United, a few more snippets come out, a few more little bits of detail start coming out. Now, I was told privately the other night, I'm not going to say who told me, but someone who knew for sure what was going on with Jadon Sancho, about him losing family members and being in a certain place at the time when everything was going wrong for him, just after the World Cup when he had them months off, that no one really knew too much about. And then you start looking back, and I want to bring up some of the stories that were going around at the time, and you start looking back and you go into, where is it now? Right, so during the media briefing at a warm weather camp in Spain, Ten Hag referred to Jadon Sancho needing to work on combination and physical, but also mental issues. A revelation which did not sit well with some at Old Trafford. Ten Hag did not have permission from the player or his representatives to discuss the matter. Ten Hag felt his comments were supportive of the player, while MUFC believed that the offer not offered no reason for his absence would have fueled speculation. Basically saying if he didn't say something, then if the club said if he didn't say anything, then it would have just added to the speculation. Now, the only reason I'm bringing that up, and that's an old quote from when everything was going down at the time, you're going to start seeing more of this come out now that Jadon Sancho's left. Just expect little things to come out, because Jadon Sancho's people literally do believe that he is going to outlast Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United. He will come back in the summer and he will prove Ten Hag wrong, and we'll see if any of the fan base change their opinions. We will, because I know for a fact that if Jadon Sancho starts playing well, then I'm going to get absolutely pelted for my stance on what Jadon Sancho was. I still am not going to forgive him for not knuckling down. I've seen other players in this club knuckle down when it looks like they were finished and not getting anywhere near the team, and end up back in the team, playing well and progressing again. So Jadon Sancho had this opportunity to do that. I've said this and explained it the other night. Kaz has gifted a membership out to you guys, and Mark Goddard has taken it. Welcome to the members club, Mark. Make sure you like Kaz. If you don't give Kaz a like and thank her, then all of the chat are going to come down on you big time. So, Mark, you better get in with a little thank you there as well, because everyone loves Kaz in the chat. So get to it straight away. Are you going to have them all at you? No, thank you, Kaz. United should have sold Sancho for 35 million to Dortmund, not loaned him. Well, they can't afford him, Mark. So, and there he has just thanked Kaz as well. So, thank you very much, buddy. Jadon Sancho right now, will he outlast Erik ten Hag? I asked this question the other night. Will Sancho now be proved right in his favouritism over Antony? I feel like Ten Hag is clearing the decks right now. Just so he can make something happen with Antony. I think it's wrong, and I think it's what ultimately will end up getting him the sack at Manchester United. It will. It will. Because you can't carry on this way. It's impossible to progress when you know you've got a player there that probably isn't liked within some of the club. I mean, I don't know who's friends with Sancho or who's good friends with Jadon Sancho. But it's upsetting a few people, like Marcus Rashford's form dropped off a cliff when Sancho left and all this was kicking off. So he's obviously torn. Maybe we'll see Rashford start playing well again. You don't know. You just don't know what's happened behind the scenes. But one thing we do know with Jadon Sancho is a lot of people have come out and said a lot of things about him through his career at different clubs. And that's what I go off. That would be my ultimate go-to in terms of a reference and how a player's character is within a football club. Pep Guardiola, what Matic said, the international setup now, how he's not getting into that. Obviously, he had issues at Dortmund previously. We've got this now under Erik ten Hag. And I do believe that there was a problem there. And I think you have to look at that and go, like I said, the combination of too many people coming out and saying certain things and then other players that looked like they weren't getting a sniff or having a chance, knuckling down, just training and getting on with it, and ended up getting in the team. I mean, who'd have thought Harry Maguire was ahead of Raphael Varane? No one. No one would have thought that. Manchester United finished with a Golden Glove last season and I think third best in terms of goals conceded in defence last season. We're mainly having Varane and Martinez in the team. And Harry Maguire now, his favourite. He's just shut up and carried on playing and just knuckled down. And we've seen what Harry Maguire's done. It's probably the best he's been for 3 years at Manchester United right now. And then he goes and gets injured. It's typical, isn't it? But yeah, it would still be Martinez and Varane for me. It always will be. But Varane, we know he's going to end up leaving. And that's it. That's exactly it. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was the same. He looked like he was on the outskirts, on the peripheral, was never getting in. He knuckled down and ended up, for me, being better than Diogo Dalot. And that's the point there, that you do get a chance if you listen to the manager. Every single manager will allow you to get back in the team if you're conducting yourself right on the training ground, you're doing the right things. Every single manager will allow you back in. Yeah, there may be some that have complete fallouts and the only way forward is for them to leave, which I think has been the case with Jadon Sancho. The public spat finished Jadon Sancho off completely. Watch Party has come in the chat and said, bro, Brobbey is a good option. What are you complaining about? No, he is not. He's only just come into form in the last 5 games. Behave yourself. It's the worst season in Ajax's record in their history. No, he's not. He went to Leipzig and failed. He's come back and now he's just doing a little bit and the stories come out of nowhere and everyone jumps on it. No, and no, it's not. The main reason it isn't is because it's another player that Ten Hag knows from Ajax and it hasn't been scouted properly again. Why would you bring in that player now who isn't better than Højlund and won't start ahead of Rashford as number 9? It's a stupid signing. It really is. It's a poor signing, and I just think it's been made up because the man's scoring goals and United need a striker. Well, the worst thing about it, like I said at the start, was Ten Hag actually thinking about the future without even getting through what is actually going on in the present. That's the issue at hand right now. Ten Hag and getting United through to the end of this season. So that And we were just talking about the Sancho situation. It's not going to help Sancho with the fan base saying that he feels like he's come home. No. I don't feel like things like that are going to sit well with the fan base. I think Sancho just needs to be careful. He does. He needs to be careful. Yeah, watch party. Arsenal are desperate. They need a striker. They do need a striker. We just haven't got the money. I don't think they have actually either, but Jadon Sancho just needs to knuckle down to round it off on him. Get on with it. Stop talking. I do fear that a lot more information is now going to come out, and it's not going to help Ten Hag's case towards the back end of the season. I guarantee you this. If Manchester United have a bad result against Spurs this weekend, all of the hate's going to be out. All of the criticism. I'm not for the hate. Criticism's fine. That should be the case if United lose a game. If we lose at home to Spurs, it should always be the case, even though they're better than us this season. But I guarantee you, when Manchester United get the next bad result, we'll start hearing more rumours about how Jadon Sancho was mistreated. And more of the Jadon Sancho side will come through. It will just all bubble up. The pressure now is just going to completely mount onto Ten Hag. And this is what I was saying before. Is that he needs to actually get something out of this season. He needs to get into Champions League football. He needs to win the FA Cup. Galvanise this team, what you've got right now. Otherwise, you're out of a job. And there's too much going on against him for him to turn it around, in my opinion. The fact that he has already come out publicly and not directly criticised Varane or Casemiro, two of our most experienced players. The fact that he has done that, I don't know where they are with him. I don't know how Casemiro's going to come back. Like I said this morning on the morning show, there's a lot resting on how good these players actually come back and play. Yes, they are great players and good to have in your squad, and we would all have them in our team. Martinez and Casemiro, I mean, mainly, and Luke Shaw, in fact. But what's going to come? Is it going to be the players from last season or the players from this season? And I went through the stats this morning. They weren't playing well before they got injured, them players either. So you have to really look at Ten Hag right now in his time left this season as his last time at Manchester United, unless he rediscovers what them players were doing last year and he gets on side and they get on side with him again. Everyone needs to be moving in the same direction at United right now for Ten Hag to succeed. They do. Players, staff, coaches, everyone. But I guarantee as soon as we have a bad result, the leaks will come out. We'll hear stories from Jadon Sancho's side. We'll hear stories from the camp again. All the unrest within. United need to be winning games. It's the only way that Ten Hag is going to survive. I looked at March. I feel Ten Hag's time. I'm just going to make a prediction just because of how we're playing now. And bear in mind, this could all completely change, but I'm going to make a prediction now. If it carries on in this vein, Ten Hag will be gone by the end of April. I've looked at the games that we've got that month. I just feel like it will be the end. I really do. The games are too hard for us to get anything out of. The teams that we're playing against are a lot better. And it really could be the end of Ten Hag come April, I think. That will be when we are mathematically completely out of the Champions League. And then that question is going to come. It is. I'm not confident, like I've said all along, for the next few games, to be honest. But I'm all for getting behind the team and us getting through these games and winning them. We can win them. But I can see how it can go completely the opposite way as well, which is the big concern in all of this. So, yeah, Ten Hag really needs to concentrate on the now. And the now is making this team work around the likes of Garnacho, Højlund, Mainu. These are the future players of Manchester United. If he starts dropping these players for the quick fix players, no disrespect to them, but that's what you would do when you've got players like Casemiro and Martinez coming back. Casemiro, we know he's probably going to be gone in the summer. If he comes back in for Mainu, then I feel like Ten Hag is just in hope mode that these players can just dig him out of a hole, because that's what they're going to have to do. Forget the style of play. I feel it's just going to be one of what can these players do on any given day. Give us them moments and actually get something, pull something out the bag for us. Who will be the next manager, says Phil. He's a tough one, honestly. That is really, really tough question. because there isn't much out there. I feel it will be a progression manager, a up-and-coming manager. We heard the shouts for Potter and De Zerbi. Could well be one of them two. Potter is the easy option. No buyout, nothing like that. We just hit 200 likes, by the way, guys. Thank you very much. And keep liking the video. Do subscribe if you are watching for the first time. Well over 600 in the room with us right now. Share the video as well, guys. Sharing is caring, obviously. Nelson says, love your channel, Adam. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Nelson. I actually hope we can turn it around, but I don't have faith he can, says Paul. I think everyone wants him to turn it around because ultimately you want your team to do well. We don't want to be talking here about Manchester United losing constantly. Graham says, Lopetegui for the next manager. I honestly don't think so. I don't. I think it will be... I think it'll be a younger manager. I think Ten Hag has had a lot of things go in his favour and why he's still here. A lot of people would have sacked him after losing 7-0 to Liverpool. But the fact that there's been no one above him that really is in a position to sack him or wants to sack him. The fact that there isn't many other managers around at the moment. The fact that it is still early in the season. But now, coming to the second part of January, looking ahead to them games coming up. I mean, Fulham away, not Fulham away, Luton away. I'm thinking of that one. I'm going, I don't even fancy us there. No, Mr. Bean, we're not getting Rooney. That's not going to happen. Carrick in another 4 years might be a good manager. Too early for him yet. Ange, no. And we're not getting Warnock either. Desperation shouts. Potter, that's weak, says Colin. We are weak at the moment. We are. It's just this time for United. It's our time to just go through the mud, I think. And nothing is going to happen quickly. I just hope everyone can see past what the next stage is. I feel like Ten Hag... I'd given up on Ten Hag knowing about that interview that he did. I just don't think, even if he does all right, he's going to have a future at United because of the way Ineos want to run the club. They're not going to give him the power that he wants. And that will be the end of him. I really do. I just feel like the players know that change is coming. And that's where the players' heads are at right now. It's horrible to say, and I would love it to happen, but these players can make something of this season. They really can. I just don't think they've got it in them under Erik Ten Hag. I don't. It's like the big thing as a footballer, when you look at it and you go, I work hard, I do what the manager tells me, everything that I just said Jadon Sancho needs to do. But this is where I do understand a little bit of Jadon Sancho's argument. He could do all of them things. He could train hard. He could work his way back in. But because of what Ten Hag has done in the window and done in the transfer market, and I go back to the start of the show, and this is why it's a bigger picture. And after all the chat we've just had, this is where we're getting round to where it really hits home. It will always come down to a Manchester United manager proving what he's done in the transfer market and not wasting money. Because it is all about money. And Ten Hag, no matter how well someone else is playing, and we'll see now with Ahmad, will Ten Hag bite the bullet and bench Antony and play two other players ahead of him? Because I think there could be two. If Ahmad starts off well, then he should be ahead of him. If anyone's playing better than the previous player, they should keep their place in the team. That's fair. It's the same with Rashford on the other side. The hope I had for Ten Hag was Rashford, because he dropped him. He dealt with Maguire. He dealt with Ronaldo. I thought, the first manager, yes. This is why I was so keen. This is why I was so keen on Erik Ten Hag. Because he had that strength to stand up against the big ego players. It didn't matter. I backed him on Sancho because of what he did with Ronaldo. No player walks off the pitch while his team is playing. That's a disgrace. I don't care how big you are and what you've won and how great you are. That was it for me. I don't stand for that. We backed him on that. We backed him with Sancho. Now he needs to show some faith in the fan base and go, you know what, sometimes, Erik, hold your hands up and say that you made a mistake. You made a mistake with Antony. If Ahmad comes in and plays well, what's to say he doesn't drop off because he's done so well and then Antony just walks into the team the following week? This is what Ten Hag has done and done wrong, in my opinion. Players have come back into the team not warranting that place in the team. Nothing has happened that gives him the right to actually bring that player in for form reasons, I would say. Yeah, we've had some bad games this season, but it's like, when Harry Maguire's fit now, I feel like he's just going to come straight back into the team. This is what Ten Hag has built. At the end of the day, if he didn't sign Antony and he wasn't doing so bad, then I think we would have had Jadon Sancho in this team this season. I don't think it would have been as bad. I really don't think it was as bad. I mean, do you know what? I'm going to do a poll right now because there has been some letdowns, especially this season. But these are players that you could probably argue have been these are players that you could argue have been failing for a while, to be honest. I'm just going to write it out now. Bear with me a second, guys. Let's see where you guys are at with this one. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to guess I know who you are going to go for. And I just need... right. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough one. Okay, guys. Poll is up in the chat now. Who has been the biggest drop-off this season? I should have put in there from last season as well. So if you didn't understand the poll, I'll just explain it to you again. So who has been the biggest drop-off in terms of form from last season in this team right now? I kind of knew where this was going to go. The votes are going they're going the way I thought they would this season. The votes are going the way I thought they would after what's happened this season. Definitely, I think, yeah. So the names on the list are Casemiro, Rashford, Shaw, Bruno. They, for me, have been the biggest disappointments from last. I can't bring Martial and Sancho into this. They were dead already. But the players that we looked at last season and thought, wow, they have took a grip and they have really looked into Erik Ten Hag, his methods, and they're playing for the manager. These players, I feel, were carrying the team last season and have dropped off dramatically this season, in my opinion. Really bad. Now, I can understand the Rashford one. Casemiro gets away with it a little bit because of injury, the same with Shaw. I'm surprised that after all the hate and everything, maybe my video about Bruno last night actually has helped him, but only 9% think Bruno. Bruno and Casemiro are dead level in terms of the biggest disappointments from last season to this season, the biggest drop-offs. That is crazy. Rashford is killing this poll right now. Casemiro has hardly played. How can it be him? Shaw injured as well. Bruno is just a fake stat player. John, Casemiro started this season dreadful. And this is where the problem is. You get off to a bad start, and that's an inexcusable bad start, by the way, going off what happened last year. That's why he's in there. And he has dropped off in form. You cannot even deny that because he was one of our better players. And I brought him in there simply because he was one of our best players last year. So that's why he's in there. Same with Shaw. When he's played, I think he's been crap this season as well. He has. He's dropped off completely. And yes, injuries, I understand that. Bruno and Rashford, that's why I think they are top of the list. But I'm sick of everyone just bailing out Casemiro. I think he's a world-class player, I do. But I ain't going to hide behind that status just because he had a decent season last season. He's been shocking this season for us. He's been way off it. And the start of the season was what set the tempo. Clearly Marcus, but at least he stayed fit, says Graham. Yep, that's true. Rashford got a massive pay rise, so that's probably a massive factor in our disappointment, says Cliff the Red. Yeah, that is a big one, I think, does influence the decision on this. I'll never forget the Newcastle away game this season. 8 minutes in and Rashford stopped tracking back and threw his hands in the air. He had 9 days off before that game, and every other player on that pitch, Dobby, was pretty much blowing out their ass because they played 3 days before in Europe, both Newcastle and United players. So yeah, I totally hear you with that one. That's where I lost it with Rashford as well. Managers don't like injured players. They get a free pass, says Graham. But despite that, the longer the players are at Manchester United, the worse they become, the more they get paid. Paying for mediocrity. Being rewarded for mediocrity. That should be a statement right now in Manchester United. They should put that up in the dressing room. Put that up there and let every single player look at it. This is how you are seen on the outside. This is how you are seen in the public eye. Being rewarded for mediocrity. You shouldn't even be paid for some of the performances that you put out on that pitch. Rashford base salary 300k weekly with 75 in bonuses weekly to be achieved. Well, at least he's only earning 300k then, Chris, because them bonuses and performance-related bonuses, I don't think he's been anywhere near, has he? Definitely not this season. Let's get to the 250 like mark, guys. Over 700 in the room. Cheers for tuning in, everyone, as always. But let's get that 250 up. And welcome to the 4 new members for tonight as well. Hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to touch on the other bit of news as well, which was Hannibal. We did make a big deal about Hannibal last night, so I didn't want to go too much into it. But yeah, Alex Cook from TalkSport says Hannibal is pretty much done deal now to Sevilla, and that was Hannibal's decision. He wanted them over Everton, so they've allowed Hannibal to make that decision. I want to know, guys, should it be the player that decides where he goes on loan, or should it be the club? I want to know. Just put your comments in the chat right now. Just put player or club to that question. Again, the question, when it comes to loans, should the player make that decision or should the club make that decision? Because we're hearing that Hannibal has been the main push behind going to Sevilla. Shouldn't it be the club that tells the player where he's actually going? Shouldn't that be the decision? Like, where the club's direction is going is more than the player's own mindset. I feel like that should be the way, but it appears that Hannibal has had a big say in where he should go. A lot of people are already saying it should be the player. I don't understand actually why everyone should think why it should be the player, or why people would think it should be the player that decides where he goes. I really don't understand. I don't get that. I don't get where your angle is with that. I think it should be the club completely. But that's why I wanted to put the poll, not the poll, but I wanted to put that in the chat just to see what you guys thought of that. I actually think it should be the club. The club knows the direction it wants to go and what style of football. They're the ones paying the player. They're the ones developing the player. Both, I don't think works with both for me. I think the club need to know the direction they're going in. There needs to be a sporting director which is involved in this, that knows the philosophy of the football. And this is where I hope, if we do manage to get a Dan Ashworth, people like this in place at Manchester United, the big job about a sporting director isn't just about recruitment and finding these players and these stars. It's about the youth team. It's about the development of the youth team. It's about knowing what philosophy our style of play is and what clubs are worth sending the players to develop them when they can't get game time right now. So to get to that end of that youth setup, and then you're at right first team football, maybe getting into the match day squads and things like that. And that then is the point when you go, right, okay, you're not quite going to get the game time, but we need to see where you're at. First team football, regular first team football at a decent level is a must right now for this player. So we need to know exactly what clubs are playing a certain way that's going to suit you to come back and be ready to go again in the pre-season for the way that we want to play. This is what sporting directors do. They add in the buy-on clauses, the sell-on clauses. They add in all of this stuff. They organise it. It takes it away from the manager. We're in this month that Erik Ten Hag has done a U-turn on Hannibal. He wanted to stop him. Then he's going. You cannot be chopping and changing. It just shows the indecisiveness within Manchester United right now. It isn't good, and I think is a big, big issue, and it's probably why we are in such a state right now. Ten Hag doesn't know whether he's bleeding, coming or going, and he doesn't know if he wants to keep Hannibal. Don't know if he wants to send him out on loan. Is it worth keeping Palestra? Should we get rid of him permanently? It's changing all the time. But I think it is right that the manager, the club, the sporting control side of things should have already made a club, already contacted a club. So I'll break it down. So this is how it should work. With loanees, it should work one way. The sporting control, sporting director, whoever's behind the scenes or upstairs, communicate with the coaches, the youth team staff, the manager, and they go out and they find the clubs ready for when a January or a summer transfer window opens. If the player's going out on loan, the conversation is had with the manager. Is he going to play many games? How many? Is it worth keeping him? No, he's going on loan. Okay, we've earmarked this and this club. Which one do you think close fits the style of football that we're playing? We think this one, ideally. What's your input on it? Done and dusted. Already there. See you later. Away you go. We'll see you in the summer. Have a great time. Simple. This is how it should work. This is how football clubs should be run. We haven't got that at Manchester United. We just haven't got it. We haven't got anyone behind the scenes running the football side of it. Murto, as we know and we've spoken about before, has completely failed in this job. So, yeah, that's where we're at with it. And I just think that should be the way. That's the way it should always be, especially at Manchester United now going forward. We will see. We will see. But, guys, I do have to get going pretty soon. Tomorrow, new destination. Live outside, everybody. Tomorrow morning, 11:30. Don't forget to tune in. All will be revealed. Another little location mark for tomorrow's live in the morning. And then, obviously, we'll be talking after the press conference, which is tomorrow for Ten Hag. Going to be interesting to see what he says regarding Sancho. We'll be asked on that. Hannibal, confirmation on that as well. And anything else going on in the transfer window. You know the sort of answers that are coming, but we'll talk about it anyway. Yeah, that's that. And then I'm now off to take my last football training session before this weekend's game. Yes, Newtown AFC and Mid Wales, guys. Kickabout for Cancer. It's a charity influencer football match that I'm involved in. I'm playing. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to kick ass. I'll be absolutely dead on my feet. Who am I kidding? But I'm doing it. It's for charity. So if you guys want to come along, contribute, even just come and watch, hit me up on Instagram. All the details are on there. Kickabout for Cancer. That's the charity. That's the organisation that's running it. So get involved. Yeah, and we will be live from there as well. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be streaming from the ground, I think, before and after. So all the shows on Saturday will be on location as well, guys. And I am going to grab a few guests. Some people you might actually know very well for the live shows. So stay tuned definitely for Saturday. And of course, Sunday is game day. So yeah, bring it on. Busy weekend ahead. So let's see. Adam is live at Archie's. No, I can't eat stuff like that. So I'm going to go now. I'm going to sweat. I'm going to train and get myself ready for this game. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in as always. Join us tomorrow live outside again on FUTV. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, and of course, if you are tuning in for the first time, alongside that like, please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button, and you will know when I'm live outside because you'll get a big, fat, juicy notification come up on your phone.